Welcome back. For parents concerned about how much time their kids spend scrolling on social media, a major change is coming. A new South Carolina law will dramatically limit addictive features on popular platforms,
requiring stronger privacy protections, parental controls, and banning targeting ads for children. Our State House reporter Stephen Biddix has more on all of those details.
It's a major shift in how kids will experience social media, with new restrictions cutting down on addictive features, hoping to protect their mental health and development.
These large corporations are bidding for children's attentions.
For kids 15 and younger, social media is going to look different. The law targets platforms earning more than $1 billion in advertising revenue, like Instagram and TikTok. The law requires companies to flag accounts belonging to kids under 16.
Once that they confirm that they're saying we have confidence that this is a child, then they must stop or enact some of the safety features. So they have to have a parental dashboard. They have to stop marketing directly to our children.
It bans infinite scrolling and video autoplay. Representative Brandon Guffey, who led the effort, says kids will now swipe sideways instead of down and hit play for every video. He says that change will reduce the dopamine rush researchers link to constant downward scrolling.
People get on their phone and then it's continuously feeding video that's going to release dopamine. This has been proven over and over. They ran scientific tests to do this, to addict kids.
Kimberly Long is a mother and teacher in Fort Mill who sees the effects of too much screen time firsthand in her classroom. She says it interferes with kids developing social skills and emotional maturity.
Also really limited what we call executive functioning skills. So those are the soft skills in the business world, things that kids need, like being able to take turns, understanding reciprocal conversation, sharing, and especially that emotional regulation.
The Palmetto Family Council says the law also bans targeted ads for kids. The council adds South Carolina is one of only a handful of states with this kind of law, and says the state should stay on the forefront of keeping kids safe.
They end up trapped in these loops, these cycles. They get advertised certain things, and the companies know that your attention is extremely valuable. That's where the profit is. That's where the margins are met.
The law takes effect January 1st of 2027. Supporters of the bill say next year they hope to pursue additional regulations when it comes to kids and how they can interact with AI chatbots. Reporting at the State House, I'm Stephen Biddix.